the graphs we have on our screen. It's a huge graph. It just shows how pronounced the unemployment challenge really is currently. Just look at that. And we're showing this over the last few years very clearly. How steep is this? And as I said, there are so many documents, there are so many research. You have the government data, you have the CMIE, then you have the ILO, you have all of them here. But this is just one aspect of it, and it's very, very difficult to explain. And then you have what the economic survey puts out. 1 in 2 youth are unemployable with respect to their degrees. Ms. Mahima, do you want to come in?
Government's understanding and conduct of economic strategy is like, the lights are on, but there's nobody home. Gaslighting is a characteristic trait of the conduct of this government. So that is why they are blaming it on the private sector today. And hearing all the panelists on your show today, and the fact that there's no BJP spokesperson on your show to speak on the topic, it gives away a lot. It is a matter of fact, Sneha, that over the past decade, we have seen that there has been a tremendous waiver of skyrocketing corporate taxes. Yet the youth of this country are lurking in shadows, hoping that someday this government will live to some extent its promise of job creation of 2 crore jobs per year. Now, if you speak about employment, creation of jobs by the government as a matter of directives of the state policy, you see, it's a very, very poor translation and interpretation of what the directive policy, directive of the state policy holds in the Constitution of India, because it is the government's responsibility. In fact, the government is supposed to be the ideal employer. But on the contrary, what we see is gaslighting, and which is why our leader, an astute politician and astute economist,
so
Mr. Jairam.
Would you just explain this a bit? Why do you call this gaslighting?
Allow me to complete, Sneha. I'll come to that. Allow me to complete.
Yeah, please go ahead. I'm just asking for a clarification.
In fact, I'll say why gaslighting, because as Mr. Jairam Ramesh, an astute economist himself, has stated that the Modi government's approach to the corporate sector has been to give generous handouts to the corporates, to the crony capitalist friends of theirs, like, 1.5 lakh crore corporate tax cuts and the rupees 2 lakh crore PLIs without directly incentivizing investment or hiring. Whereas its job was to create jobs for the youth of this country, let alone creation of jobs. Today, when this much awaited data has come out, which they have tried to cover up and tried to manipulate here and there by its pakodanomics, what we see is that experts can see through, and experts have spoken on your show, that actually it is not the private sector's job to create, it's not the private sector's responsibility to create the much needed jobs for our youth, but the public sector, but the state. And there are 10 lakh vacancies which we have been constantly pointing out. In our Nyay Patra, we have talked about Yuva Nyay. We have talked about the accountability and responsibility of the government, where we say, you see, if the India government comes into rule, we will bring about right to apprenticeship. That is the need of the hour.
Okay.
We will bring about Pehli Naukri Pakki. That is the need of the hour. A conducive support system for the youth. That is the need of the hour. That is what our Nyay Patra talked about. But the government, it only keeps on running away from responsibility, shirking responsibility like they have today by sending a spokesperson on your show, but they will not talk about their own responsibility. And now it has come to the private sector. And forget not when Mr. Modi said, Mr. Modi talked about gunny bags of money being loaded in tempos, Mr. Adani, transporting it everywhere, and nothing has been done about it. He's talked about it explicitly. So he's indicating towards the conducive environment he's created for the corporates, for his crony capitalist friends, rather leaving our youth to fend for themselves.
Sneha, can I come in?
Okay. All right. Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Quickly, before please go ahead. Please go ahead, Mr. Manish.
I would not agree with what the spokesperson from Congress has said. If you look at Indian economy, it is one of the best run economies in the world right now. If you look at the developed nations, the average growth is around 2.6 to 2.5%. And if you look at the developing nations like India, the average growth is around 4.5%. I think the first responsibility of the government is to ensure that the economy runs properly. So from that point of view,
But if the economy is running properly, why is unemployment rate on the rise? Or the government may say that it is not, that the official data is not being catered into.
Can you please let me complete on that?
Please, I mean, I'm just asking you a subsequent question which you can answer.
Sorry.
Yeah, please.
Please let me complete. This economy is being run very nicely. So there's no problem as far as the way economy is running. Still, this government is actually, projecting around 6.5 to 7.5 GDP growth rate, which would be one of the highest in the world. I think you have to also look at socio-economic factors, the mindset issues as far as job creation is concerned. Indian youth, the mindset is about government jobs. The mindset is about job. That needs to change. Globally, it has changed in many of the countries, and especially the countries which are moving from developing nations to developed nations. Entrepreneurship is the key. And every year, the number of graduates, because of population explosion also, it's coming up year after year. So I'm not justifying that government has not been able to do it. But to be honest, I have not seen any Congress government really being able to do a good job, because we saw in Rajasthan, it was one of the highest unemployment rate in the country consistently during Congress government, 31 to 32%. So either of the political divide, we have not seen they being able to really highlight this issue or to take it on a very emergency basis.
Okay. All right. Okay.